What's up, guys, and welcome, and I've got to get this right because I haven't done it for a while, back to the FPL WildCats Live, where we talk everything FPL as the game has returned. So I will pass over to Nim in 1 second, but first, if you are happy to see us back, please hit that like button. If you are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe. And just a quick note that if you have missed us over this lockdown period, we have actually been on YouTube and Twitch on our gaming channels, which I will put in the chat while Nim is talking. We're now on Twitch and YouTube as the WildCats, where we play all things like FIFA, Rocket League, Minecraft, Warzone, and we'll have lots of other things coming to you in those channels as well. So check out the link in the description and I'll make sure it's in the chat. And Nim, welcome back, and let's take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Jay. It's good to be back. Welcome everyone to the stream. So the Premier League is just a week away from now, and FPL along with it. The game is now officially open and we've been given that, but obviously that was a little while ago now. So we'll just give you a quick reminder of our teams, I think, and give you a quick chat over how they're looking and what we're considering doing and our initial thoughts going forward. So, Brett, would you like to take it away, buddy?
Okay, sure. Yeah, look, obviously it's been a weird time, so my mind hasn't really been much on Fantasy Premier League, like a lot of us probably. So during lockdown, I made a couple of transfers earlier on. The no-brainer for me was to get Fernandes of United. That just kind of felt like a no-brainer. He was playing so well. I'm just trying to remember who I transferred out to get him in, actually. So I'm quickly scrolling through back to my team. Oh, yes. I took a punt on Pepe. That's right. Yeah, I think it was a double game week for Arsenal. And then obviously I brought him in for that. And then only the one game got played. And then that's when we had the postponements. So to get rid of Pepe straight away felt like a bit of a no-brainer as well. He blanked in the one game I had him. And Fernandes was just playing so well. So he came in. I think... yeah, I also had Agüero up front for about 4 game weeks. Just after he had like a hat-trick against Villa and he was scoring goals, I brought him in for 4 weeks and he just blanked in every game week, basically, that I had him. And he was missing penalties as well. So I was a bit unlucky with Agüero. I transferred him out during the lockdown, only to find out now that obviously Man City open up with a double game week with 2 home games. So that is a bit frustrating. I've had a bit of a nightmare with Agüero. I brought in Calvert-Lewin for Agüero just because he was a cheap player that kept doing so well before I bought him. And then I went back to double Salah and Mane. I don't really know why. I wasn't really thinking much about FPL. I got rid of Agüero for Calvert-Lewin, had so much in the bank. And then I upgraded. I think it was a Yosi Perez. I had so much money and I thought Perez had been a bit of a nightmare buy. So then I brought Mane back in to double up on Mane and Salah because I wasn't sure what was going to happen with the Premier League, but I just kind of thought, well, I feel quite safe with Mane and Salah. Now that the fixtures are announced and we've got these Man City and Arsenal double game weeks, that kind of thing, I'm not sure it's best to have those two. But at the time when there was all that confusion, I just went back to my comfort blanket of having Mane and Salah. It felt like an instinctual thing, really. So yeah, my team now, it's not really set up that well for the restart, the double game week. I haven't got a wild card. So my decision now is basically, do I use the unlimited transfers and build, a decent team for this double game week?
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't got a wild card to bail myself out. So I can't go overboard on the double game week players. So I'm basically deciding, do I use these unlimited transfers or free hit for double game week 30, basically? And obviously, if I use the free hit for this double game week to get the likes of Aubameyang, Agüero, maybe Sterling, etc., I've then got to accept I'm going to have this team on screen back. I'm going to have Mane and Salah back again. I'm going to have John Fleck, Traore. It's not the best squad. So that's what I'm weighing up at the moment. It's, do I free hit or do I just use some unlimited transfers now and save the free hit for another day? And that's what I'm deciding.
Cool. And Kurt, what about yourself, buddy? Loving the hat, by the way.
Well, it's a special occasion, so I've got a dress for the occasion, which is... Of course.
To be fair, I've grown in love with that hat.
Yes.
If you didn't know, also Kurt streams on Twitch as well, so feel free to look at Kurt. You're on Twitch too.
I'm bigger than PewDiePie. I've
on Twitch you might be.
Well, maybe, yeah.
I doubt that.
Once the lockdown started, I didn't really touch the team. I sort of lost all interest. Lockdown was more, especially, well, not to get too personal, but I'd been moved out for a couple of weeks. So I was more just focusing on ensuring I could literally just go day to day without too many problems. And the team wasn't too bad. It was all right, but I didn't see any sort of end to this. So I thought I'm just going to leave it. I don't really see the point in changing things and potentially playing around, trying to play with the price rises and falls. But I've had a bit of a fiddle with my team now. I'm looking at the fixtures ahead, who's got the best fixtures. I'm looking at double game week as well, see if I get people in for that. So I can't really talk about much of what I did have. I can talk about what I've gone with now, which is I've brought in Aubameyang. I have brought in. I think I've brought in Aubameyang for someone. I think it was Firmino I had because, let's be honest, there's no point having Firmino. He's useless. And I've also kept Pepe as well for the double game week. In FPL, yeah, in FPL. I'm trying to sort of play it, and I've done a bit of research. Got a few videos coming out finally. I'm looking at double game week. I want to get another Man City player in there, but I looked at the minutes played for Man City, and none of it fills you with confidence. And I spoke about it before because I've got De Bruyne at the moment. I'm happy to keep De Bruyne because I feel like he is the cog that keeps things turning. But the minutes played is worrying. I think about I could get Agüero, but so far Agüero's pretty much played compared to how many minutes he could have played. Bang down the middle. He's played half. Jesus has played half. That is pretty much where it's at. Sterling as well has been rested quite a few. Looking at Mahrez, he's played half. David Silva's played
He's
half.
answering
Bernardo
all our
Silva's played
questions before
half.
we get there.
So at the moment, I'm just got a one Man City player, but I'd probably look at getting two because Arsenal at home is a banker. They're going to smash them. Burnley at home is a banker. They're going to smash them. After that, you got two tough games, but yeah. And I've also looked at Wolves. I brought in Dendonka. I got rid of Dele Alli because, let's be honest, I think Spurs' season are over. I got Martin in at the back because I had someone who was 4 million. Martin's now 3.9, so it frees up extra 0.1. I've got Chilwell in because I fancied the Leicester defender. One other thing I've been considering as well is looking at the Man United players. I think Man United are going to end strong. I've kept on to Fernandes. I got him pretty much immediately as he joined, and ended up being a sensational move. I've brought Martial in as well because I feel like he ended the season quite well, and I feel like he's going to start. And if Man United do kick on, because they've got things to play for, Man United, Tottenham away is a wishy-washy team. Apart from that, they've basically got winnable games throughout all of it, home and away, and the away games look even easier than the home. So, that being said, I think Martial's got to be a banker, but at the moment it is all up in the air. My team will change a lot. It's pretty much like a second start to the season, but
Have you still got a wild card, Kurt?
yeah, I checked earlier on today. I've got the second wild card, and I've got all three of my chips. So it's going to be a mental period for me.
Nice.
Yeah, I really need to plan ahead to see what I could use when. But it's just going to end up I'll forget about them, and then I think I've got 3 game weeks to go. 3 here, bench boost, triple captain, something like that.
Are you not tempted to use one of those for this double then? Because it seems like a good opportunity to use one.
I've looked into that, and the only unfortunate thing is that I can't look past Aubameyang being triple captain. So I think Man City, although Man City assets I think could be good, there is the chance that if I'm just keeping De Bruyne, if Man City do go all out attack for a game, De Bruyne always falls back and he loses attacking potential. And if let's say you take off a Fernandinho for a Sterling or a Leroy Sané, who someone we're not really talking about, he could be coming back as well. De Bruyne always sits back, so the only one I've got really for the double game week is Aubameyang, and I think I've done this before with Aubameyang and he's done nothing. So I don't want to go back there. I've got bad memories.
Don't do that to us, Kurt.
But yeah, at the moment, I'm quite intrigued because I feel like it's going to be a fun period for me. I've got a wild card to make. I've already got this free transfers. How many transfers you need now? So I'm looking forward to the restart. I am.
Cool. Well, I have literally, like you, pretty much not touched my team since the Premier League stopped. No transfers whatsoever. Just like you guys, couldn't really bring myself to do it. I was at the point this all started, 9 reds in a row before the postponement. 9 red arrows.
Wow, okay.
And it took all of this to happen for me to have 9 green arrows in a row.
Yeah, right.
So I'll
think
take
about
that.
the positive. Think about the positives. You've gone a load of game weeks without getting a red arrow.
Yeah, exactly.
The rest of the season without getting a red arrow.
Let's hope so. I mean, I think I'm being told to leave my team alone by a higher power. What do you guys think? Just like, don't touch it. Don't touch it. Initially, I was really happy when I heard we had unlimited transfers. Not gonna lie to you guys. I was like, yes, I've already used my wild card. Boom, we've got unlimited transfers. Here we go. And then I realized that I don't have the other wild card, and those that do will effectively have the chance at 3 new teams in this period going forward, as opposed to me having a chance at 2.
And so they get a chance to assess the form as well.
Exactly. And so then all of a sudden it didn't seem quite so appealing. It was a bit like, oh no, this isn't really good. And I was kind of sure if it came back and they gave unlimited, that those that didn't want to maybe use it as a wild card could still use their 2 free transfers that they'd banked. And that was what I was kind of hoping on being able to use.
Yeah, that's
so
a shame.
I'm feeling a bit kind of, I guess, like done over by that and a little bit sad by it and not really sure kind of how to take it. I do have a couple of doublers already, because when I did my wildcard, it wasn't too long before, I think it was 2 weeks before the postponement started. So, I was already kind of planned for the blanks. I'd already kind of planned a bit for the doubles. So I have Aubameyang, KDB, Saka, I think, and Baldock in my team already. So I have a fair few doublers, and I'm basically in the same position as Brett here, and I think it will be the same for everyone on a wild card. It's whether or not to free hit and get the double game week players in, or whether to use a couple of those unlimited transfers and then free hit a bit further down the line. I am knees deep in Wolves players, as I had 3 of them to cover the blanks. So I had Jimenez, Jota and Doherty. So definitely kind of thinking, if I don't go for the free hit and double, get a load of double game week players in my team, then I need to maybe shift one or two of those Wolves players on for other players.
They have West Ham though.
They do. That is a tasty fixture, not gonna lie.
Not bad, is it?
But I'm not sure I want to be Jota and Jimenez up front with that. So I'm trying to play around with a few drafts that allow me to almost have like a free hit team, but also with a bit of flexibility. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I haven't really yet, with everything going on, had the time yet to really sit and focus on that. But that is kind of, at the moment, my thought process. If I can kind of get the best of both worlds without using that free hit just to kind of hold it back, then I'm going to try and do that. But I'm, at the end of the day, I just want to have a bit of fun with it. I wasn't doing particularly great when the season, packed up for all those weeks ago. So it is just kind of trying to enjoy it as much as possible. What about yourself, Jay?
To be honest, I don't have a clue what I'm going to do. I've got lots of ideas in my head, but like everyone else, when we got the news that the season would be on hiatus, I made one transfer. That was Bruno Fernandes, because I was like, I want him in my side. And then after that, I just stopped even looking at my team. So the team is pretty similar to what I had before this all happened. Perez was the one that went for Fernandes because there was a game week where Leicester seemed like a really good option, and I literally ended up tripling up on Leicester, and then that didn't really pay off. So I'm very interested to see what happens now. I mean, I know for a fact my team will be very different from the one that's on the screen. I just haven't touched it yet. With unlimited free transfers and the fact that I have the possibility of a free hit strategy in this one and then reverting back to this team, if I like this team, then it is weighing up between those two options, because potentially what I could do is free hit for this week. Use the unlimited transfers for this week, then free hit next week. Then I have 2 weeks worth of data to use my wild card.
Yeah.
And pick a team for the rest of the season. And there's some teams that have 2 tough fixtures and then seem to have a good run after that. And then I could build moving on from there. So for me, it's all about what I'm going to do, because this team right here is very, very likely to change. And that's it. I'm going to keep it short and sweet, because I have not much to say about this team at all. I can hardly remember it, to be fair.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It is going to be a bit of a frame of mind to get back into the swing of things, isn't it? It's been a while, and we've all been doing other things. Some of us have been playing the Champs League, and some of us will be playing virtual FPL Bundesliga, and then some of us nothing at all. So it's like, trying to get our heads back into the game of all the FPL stuff. But we have some questions that have been given to us on our social media channels, so do check them out. But guys, get your questions in the chat and we will get around to them, hopefully. So
there's loads of them.
Are there? Cool, brilliant, good times. Hopefully Brett's keeping note of those then. So
I've written quite a few. Yeah, I've got some down.
Cool. So our first one came from @FPL_JRF, a regular here. So it's great to have you all back. Arsenal have a very short turnaround between the fixtures in 30 plus, and Agüero's not been converting shots, halved in the last 6. Considering both minutes might be managed, who is the better pick? So Jay, what do you think? Who do you think is the better pick between Agüero and Aubameyang?
I mean, I have generally an FPL bias against Arsenal players, so my instant gut feeling is to go Agüero. I also prefer their double game week overall, because if you look at Man City's record against Arsenal, Arsenal don't necessarily score that many goals. If you look at the last 5 Premier League games they played, I think Arsenal scored 2 goals compared to something over 10 for Man City. Yes, I think there will be rotation risks for all the clubs, especially as soon as those teams don't have anything to play for. Rotation will get even worse. There's, of course, the extra subs. There's now 5 subs they can make. I think it's only 3 times in a game they can make subs, though. So I think there will be minutes managed. But I believe, personally, this game week coming up is the game week where probably we're going to be able to read it the most, because everyone's going to want to start off strong. I don't think anyone's going to want to start back with a loss. Everyone has stuff to play for, mostly. And I think you will see strong teams initially. Now, Man City's second game against Burnley, yes, they could easily rotate in that game. Man City are a side with plenty of options. But for me, Agüero is a player that in 60 minutes could easily do something really, really big. So for me, especially if I'm trying to have an explosive start to my FPL season, I think it has to be Agüero. Aubameyang, to me, seems just a bit more of a player that will tick away with 1 or 2, although he has, of course, had his big returns as well. But Agüero has a legacy, and Agüero is the type of player that can completely change your season. So I would go Agüero.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe that Shashank is asking me to choose between my boyfriend and my club here. I mean, what's he trying to do to me?
I like how we've started with Agüero as well. It kind of carries on from the quizzes we've been doing. Agüero has to be somewhere.
He has to be somewhere. It's a roulette wheel, isn't there? There's some talk that Jesus has been extremely fit during lockdown.
Apparently KDB hasn't, from what I've heard as well.
And we all know that Agüero, as you said, like has a few worries about the virus and all of about coming back and playing and stuff, but we all know that he's like so good. And I definitely think that they'll play, both of them, Jesus and Agüero, like you said. I can see the minutes for Agüero, and he definitely doesn't need to be on 90 minutes. I'm pretty sure he's on for the Golden Boot as well, isn't he?
I know Vardy's in first, but I think there are a lot of players that are close.
Aubameyang and Agüero, I think they're kind of, and obviously the Liverpool lads are all fighting it out a bit. So there's reason. I don't know whether Pep really even takes that into consideration, but I think Aubameyang will get more minutes. That's my kind of gut feeling on that. So I guess it really just depends on how much you feel the minutes are worth it over their, explosibility. So Brett, what do you think, bud?
Yeah, this is really tough. It's a good point that the quick turnaround in games, because Arsenal's double game week is on the 17th and then the 20th. Man City do have 2 days extra, so it's the 17th and then the 22nd. So even though I was going to argue that Aubameyang will get more minutes than Agüero, I think most would probably argue that statistically he probably will get more minutes, but the turnaround is quicker. There is 5 days break between Man City's games, and Arsenal's only got 3. And yeah, more minutes doesn't always equate to more points, I think Agüero, even though Agüero's on less points than Aubameyang this season, like his stats are way better than Aubameyang's in terms of like his XG and his shots inside the box. And as Jay said, he has the potential to be more explosive. Both games are at home. I know there are 5 subs now, which is a bit of a, you could argue is a bad thing, but maybe a good thing as well, because if he is benched in one of the games, you could argue there's more chance that he comes on for a cameo because there's 5 subs instead of 3. So I'd have to go Agüero just for the split in the games is greater. There's 2 favourable home games there, rather than being away from home for Aubameyang. And I can't see Arsenal turning over Man City away from home or turning over Brighton away from home. Whereas Man City could easily score 4 or 5 on their day at home to Burnley or at home to Arsenal. And if that happens and Agüero doesn't haul, you just have to consider yourself unlucky. So I say you've got a better chance of a big haul from Agüero than you have Aubameyang.
Yeah, and you feel
But
the
it's a tough one.
same, Kurt, or you all on the Aubameyang train? Because I know you said you got him in and you're thinking about triple captaining him. So,
But yeah, I mean, it's like a while. I don't mean to sort of sound pretty harsh on it, but we know exactly what Pep's like, and we know from we can look at expected goals or whatever. I still don't understand what that is. We can see the touches in the box. We can see whatever he's done. At the end of the day, throughout the entire season, he's had his minutes halved. He may be up for the Golden Boot, but the stats show the minutes he's played has been half. There's been, I think, 2,610. He's on just under 1,400, and Jesus is just on 1,400 or just under. I think he's had about 50 less than Agüero. So if Agüero had played a majority of the season, like Aubameyang has, Aubameyang's missed about 250 minutes, I think, when I looked, then I'd say, yeah, I'd be inclined to go with Agüero. But he's had his minutes halved when there's been big gaps between games. So, and that would include also maybe playing and not playing in Champions League. So if he played all the way through that, I'd think, yeah, he's got faith in him, but he's going to want to move it around. He's going to want to try different things. And also to add to that, if we're looking at Man City assets, I'm really interested in Leroy Sané, which it may come up later on. But if I'm not keen on Agüero, but the one I am looking at, 0.2% of ownership is Leroy Sané, who is now, I believe, fit to play. 0.3%.
Do not trust Leroy Sané on a double game week. I've made that mistake before. Don't anyone that's at Arne,
from Man City.
Mane, Sané, do not go double game week. Anyone ANE.
Yes, ANE, leave them alone.
Yeah, I'm going with Aubameyang. Just the simple. And although Agüero might be in the box, and you might have more the sort of the one-touch finish, the more chances, the more opportunities to score. Aubameyang's got the ability to just literally burst through and score. He's got that raw power and pace, and I think Agüero, he's still got a bit of that, but not a lot compared to Jesus or Aubameyang. So,
do you guys know the last 5 record for Man City Arsenal? Arsenal fans, you should know.
I've not clue.
No,
so 3-0 City, 3-1 City, 2-0 City, 3-0 City, 3-1 City.
Yeah, well, City always beat us. That's a given. We're not.
Just
like...
if it was more 3-2 or 4-3,
I don't think we're going to be sat here going, "Oh no, we're going to beat them, Jay."
No. But I'm just saying, Arsenal haven't scored many either in those games.
Yeah, but they didn't.
I would say Man City's defense is weaker though than it was in those years. I think Man City aren't the same defensively as they used to be.
I think Man City's record at home to Burnley is quite nice as well.
Yes, exactly. So, it's so appealing. Like if you look back at the history, that I just have to take that punt. And it is a punt with Agüero. That's what it is.
Well, you should just have both. Let's just be honest. Just have both of them.
Well, I could quite easily do that. I've checked.
Aubameyang 152 points this season. Agüero 124 points this season. Fair gap between them.
One quick other thing to add in whilst we're thinking about that is that there is 5 games between the 2 double game weeks for City.
Yeah.
But if they are still trying to push up, and let's say Liverpool do start showing a few cracks, and they've still got something to fight for, there's 5 games. There's Wednesday, 17th of June, Man City against Arsenal. Monday, 22nd of June, they're at home to Burnley, arguably an easy side. But then 3 days after that, just 3 days, Thursday, 25th of June, they go away to Stamford Bridge. So if Agüero is as important to City as everyone is saying, surely Pep would say, okay, we'll play you for the Arsenal game, rest you for the easier Burnley game and get Jesus a chance to show us what he's made of, then bring him back in for Stamford Bridge. There's only 3 games between it, so it makes it really difficult for me to then again say, oh, I'm going for Agüero. Arsenal as well.
I just can't see Pep doing anything other than just starting his strongest team for whatever he believes is that game, and then rotating with 5 substitutes on the bench. I mean, Agüero is going to get minutes in both matches regardless. I just can't see, unless he's injured that we don't know about, I cannot see him not getting minutes in both those matches. And the thing with Agüero is he only needs 10 minutes on the pitch to score.
And I mean, we've seen from the Bundesliga that rotation has just skyrocketed up.
Yeah.
And also home and away doesn't seem to be a factor anymore without fans.
Yeah, I was
That's
gonna
really
say,
dropped
we
as
do
well.
have a question actually.
All right, I won't talk
from-
too much about that now, unless we're going to go straight on to it.
Yeah, I mean, we could do. I just got to check who it's from.
It's from a person.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Notorious nerd. KDB looks fat.
Gosh. Yeah, so it's from Dom FPL. And he said, what do we think on the impact of no crowd on the games? So we've already had a bit of a look at that, haven't we, with the Bundesliga having no crowd at the games? I don't know. I mean,
Could I ask
difficult to
one
tell, isn't it?
question?
Yeah.
Are there any games are any home fixtures? Are there any home teams that are being relocated? Because I know
No,
there was talk that
there's some games that will be played at neutral grounds, but there's no specific team that will not be playing at home.
So I did see that potentially teams based in London might have to move because of looking at the tube and everything.
What I've heard now is they're going to play that by ear, but the only games that we believe are going to be on neutral grounds, we've got Liverpool versus Everton, could be on a neutral ground. We've got Man United Sheffield. We've got Liverpool Man City. Have I got any others there? Newcastle Man City. Those are the ones I can see. And then last game week it looks like Newcastle Liverpool. And that's all I can see on my spreadsheet that I've got from at Ben Krillin, if you want to go check out that spreadsheet.
Ben is essential and will be for these last few games left.
He is. I was literally on his Twitter profile like 2 minutes ago because of a question in the chat. So
if you don't follow him, you need to follow him.
Yeah, for sure. Just to give a shout out to two of our new mods, that's Fantasy Football Focus and FPL Penguin. Do go out and check out their FPL channels, guys. They're new, up and coming FPL content creators, and they've got some cool channels, and they're doing a lot of virtual FPL at the moment, and they've been a lot of fun and they've been a lot of support. So thanks, guys, and well done on being mods. So can we have a question from the chat then, please, Brett?
Of course. I'll quickly take this one then because I just did a bit of research. So Mark wants to know, I can't pronounce his surname, Mark Bain, I think it is. He wants to know what effect the FA Cup will have on strategies in terms of the free hit and 31, that kind of thing. Okay. I quickly jumped over to Ben Krellin's Twitter, and yesterday he tweeted a spreadsheet. He says that the FA Cup won't cause any blanks. Fixtures that clash with the FA Cup semi-finals will move to the following midweek. So they'll remain in the same game week, basically. So if all goes to plan, providing there's no more cases of what and that kind of thing, reschedules.
We're not allowed to say it on YouTube for anyone who's wondering why we didn't say it.
Yeah. Providing there's no more cases like that and, injuries or whatever, if a game gets rescheduled, providing there's none of that and all goes to plan, there won't be any blank or double game weeks after game week 30. So that's straight from Ben Krellin, who you should check out on Twitter. So give him a quick shout out again. But that's quite a vital bit of information there.
Glad I saved all them chips.
With your chip planning, and that's why this game week 30 double game week is appealing for the likes of triple captain and free hit, that kind of thing, because it's very likely to be the last double game week of the season, basically. So hopefully that clears that up, Mark. Okay, so. JC wants to know, there's lots of talk about double game week 30. Is there any players that we think are essential for as single game week players if you're on a free hit? So assuming you're free hitting for game week 30 with a double game week in mind, what are the single game week players we think we should also include?
Just for game week 30?
Yes, assuming you're going to free hit, which lots of people are going to be. So Nim, you're thinking to free hit, right?
Yeah.
So, granted, you maybe haven't put too much thought into it yet, but is there any single game week players that you think you would also include?
Yeah, well, it's going to be tough to get rid of some of the Liverpool assets, a Salah or a Mane, but just purely on game weeks. As we said earlier, the Wolves assets looking pretty good, but Chelsea, I think, are the main ones that if I could have a player for that game week
Against
that
Villa,
wasn't a
yeah.
double game week, I think
Away
I'd
to
be,
Villa.
Tammy is really kind of,
That's his
standing
previous
out to
club as
me.
well. That's interesting. That's
Mhm.
a good shout against his previous club. Bit of incentive there.
He's the one that's kind of making me feel like, I would like if I was considering anyone, then I would consider that. I mean, you can never kind of write off Vardy. He's got Watford, so he's a possible.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, there's a fair few that have some excellent fixtures up front. I mean, Pookie with Southampton at home. It's difficult. I think maybe a lot of the single game week players are getting overlooked for double game week players.
They always do.
Always. So yeah, I think it's just they'd be the couple that really stand out to me, to be honest.
Yeah, that's some good shouts there.
And I think hopefully that helps a little bit.
Jay, I mean, I know you're probably not going to free hit. You've got a lot more chips available, but any?
Right, it's possible I still free hit, to be fair.
Oh, okay.
If we talk about like chip and wildcard strategies, I have 3 at the moment, and I'm trying to figure out which one. So it is still a possibility that I do free hit in the game week, but we'll see.
Sure. Is there any particular single game week players you think? Looking at fixtures?
I think the ones that really jump out to me have been covered. So for me, it would be Tammy against Aston Villa. Maybe if you think Pulisic is back and can do something, or Mount now that he's potentially had some rest. Alonso was in some good form before we had to go on a hiatus. But then again, Wolves against West Ham just seems like a really good fixture to me as well. And of course, the likes of Raul Jimenez are very likely to start and play a lot of minutes. So those are the ones that really jump out to me.
Yeah, nice. Kurt, any players looking at those fixtures that you can pluck out? Single game week wise?
I've still got Ings in my team. So I like Ings versus
away to Norwich. It's not bad.
I think that's a decent game.
Yeah, you could easily see Ings and Pookie getting something in that match, couldn't you? Really?
It's a big game too. I mean, they both. Yeah. I mean, Southampton are putting a good string of performances and are 7 points clear now, but they're not out of the woods yet. And Norwich are desperate to win that game. So
Norwich are fighting for their lives. That's a massive game, and they've got a decent looking run of Norwich, but they've got a couple of I suppose easier games as well. I'm not really sure about anything else. I'd say to start off with, you've got to go to Chelsea as well. I quite like looks at Chelsea, although that's already been mentioned. Leicester as well. Has Wolves been mentioned much?
Just a few times.
Thought so. Then also Sheffield United, as much as it hurts me. And also, I've noticed a few people in the chat and a few people here today, Jay, it's Sheffield United. They don't represent the entirety of Sheffield. There's a better team that plays in blue. All right? Speaking to everyone here, Sheffield United. They're not just Sheffield. All right?
Wait, what's the other club's name?
There's actually a Sheffield FC as well. So if you just say Sheffield, you're referring to the team in the 13th division.
I know about Sheffield FC, but who are you talking about?
So what division is your team in?
Only
like
one below.
Move on before an
how long has your team existed, and how long has mine existed?
Oh, we were one of the earlier teams. There's barely anything between us. Bragging about that is.
All right, let's move on.
Okay, so I'm assuming
if you want to see a podcast where me and Kurt just argue about which team is better, just let us know in the comments.
Actually,
or
just
go
over to Twitch. Just go over to Twitch and watch us playing games, because that's where all the arguments happening.
Take him to pieces.
Jeff has asked us, would we give him some advice on the free hit teams, which I guess we've kind of covered, but are we saying, like, what do we think? If you're free hitting, is it a case of going like all in on the double game week players, or should we try and kind of have some of those single game week players and utilize the fixtures?
Yeah,
do a bit of both.
It's easier to say not to go all in than it is to actually do it and not go in, because Yeah,
For sure.
it's just so
when it's
appetizing.
there staring you in the face with two fixtures,
Yes.
it's really difficult.
And you start to see that on Twitter. You know, you see people with like Samatta up front for Villa because he's got two fixtures. People tripling down on Sheffield United defence.
Yeah.
You know, and people talking about Sane and Mahrez, which could be great picks. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I think two or 3 years ago, I always remember I played a free hit on a double game week, and my highest scoring player was a single game week player. It was Mahrez when he played for Leicester. So yeah, I mean the single game week players can certainly outperform the double game week players, you know. So I can see the appeal, and when I'm on my free hit, I do the same thing. I get so enticed by all these double game week players, but I think it is good to be a bit more sensible, find a bit more balance.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think in terms of Villa, for example, Grealish is probably the only one I would, if I'm being sensible about it, I wouldn't go anywhere but just Grealish for me. You know, I've seen people with Matt Target, and don't get me wrong, good option, but
what about Super John McGinn?
Yeah, McGinn. You know, I've had
I mean,
Target and
that
McGinn,
injury though, like, do you really bring him back that, like, without getting match fitness back? I think Grealish is literally the only real consideration.
I did do a little video for the Fantasy Football Scout Instagram channel that chats a bit about Aston Villa there, so you could always go check that out. So, but yeah, I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? That one. I mean, I guess just not to. The advice would be not to really ignore single game week players. Then that's kind of it. Really?
Yeah, I've just seen some on Twitter really going all in on double game week players just because, like, you know, I've seen like Douglas Luiz in there, Villa. I know he's 4.4, but you know, I'd rather have another starter or like John Fleck at 5 million or something. You know, someone that you know is going to play and has a bit more goal threat.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't go crazy. You know.
I think a big part of it is how easily do you get out the team that you're building for this game week as well. If you can easily get out the team, say you are doing a free hit, or say you've got the wild card afterwards, then if you're trying to hedge your bets by bringing in a lot of the doubles, then I can understand it. But to be honest, if you're really looking at it, you want 3 Man City, you want some Arsenal players in there, you want Sheffield United defenders, mainly, maybe even Henderson. And as far as Aston Villa are concerned, you literally want Grealish if you're even going to bother covering it. And that leaves you plenty of space to have, like, try and figure out the best single game week players. And we've already talked about who we think those best ones are with the fixtures.
Yeah.
Did you say he was on a free hit in him, or just in general?
No, he's just asking for some free hit advice, really.
Oh,
free
okay.
hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can understand why people are going. They're just hedging their bets. They're trying to make sure they get the high scorers from this.
Yeah.
You haven't got to worry about getting out of that bad team then, you know. So I get it. You can take lots of punts because you haven't got to worry. You can punt on Sane and, you know, or maybe McGinn or Samatta. I get it.
I think McGinn is good for a cheap option. I mean, it's difficult between him and Fleck, but like I've seen some people going triple on Sheffield defence, and if that's the case, then McGinn could be your cheap fifth.
Yeah, true.
So, cool. Okay then. So, W would like to know, choosing a double game week team with planned wildcard after, what are the players we can keep and which are the ones to get rid of?
Say that again, please, Nim.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't catch that.
He's choosing a double game week team with a plan to wildcard after, so we must be utilising the free transfers, and then he plans to wildcard after. Okay. What are the players we can keep and which are the ones to get rid of? So he's kind of like asking us, once he's done his unlimited transfers after the double game week, which are the ones to keep and which are the ones to get rid of. And to be honest, I guess you guys are going to probably say the same to me, and we're not really going to know until we've watched a round of games, are we? Like, who's going to be the better ones, how many people are going to get rotated and what kind of minutes they're going to get. But
yeah, the one important point I would make there is that even though it's a great position to be in to have your wild card now, so you can use your unlimited transfers now to go all in on the double game week players, get more information, and you can wild card in 31 and build a better squad and get rid of some of those double game week players that you don't want anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But even though that's a luxury, you need to be careful that when you use your unlimited transfers now, you don't lose all the value. You know, if you sell the likes of Salah now and you sell, you're probably not going to sell De Bruyne if you've gone in because he's got the double game week, but you get my point. Like, if you're going to sell all these players, like if you get rid of Jimenez for a single week, or Danny Ings or Calvert-Lewin for a single week that you don't want, but you want for longer term, it might, you know, before you start chucking all the players and getting rid of them, make sure you're not dropping all the value, because you sell Salah at 12.4, you've got to pay 12.7, 12.8 to get him back.
I have seen a few people already in that boat, you know. And
yes, and people don't realise that because the prices are frozen, it's almost like it's the start of the season where you can just tinker as much as you want, but you can't tinker as much this time without thinking it through first, because once you sell a player, you might not be able to afford him to get him back again, you know. So that's the important point I would make. Whilst you're tinkering, because when you wildcard then a week later, you might find you can't get the team that you want back again.
Also, I think a lot of people are not realising how useful the wildcard could be later on during these fixtures, because what we've seen from the Bundesliga is injuries are quite high, because we're expecting the players to come back very quickly with a very small pre-season. With rotation as well, you might find out that players you were relying on, suddenly the team have nothing to play for. You could end up with a team that have 4 injuries and 3 players that aren't playing anymore.
And
so the wildcard could...
If one person gets, you know, that thing we cannot name on YouTube, then what does that leave for the whole... what's that mean for, you know, the people
there
who played
could
with
still
that
be
week, you know,
there could still be double game weeks. It's the potential there for, say, a really nice fixture to be called off because too many players have what we all can't say, and then they have to put that at the end of the season.
That cannot be named.
They might, like, for instance, if you took, say, I don't know, if you took Man United versus Aston Villa game week 34, and suddenly it couldn't be played, and then they went and put it in game week 37, then Man United suddenly have Aston Villa and West Ham.
Yeah.
So we don't know what will happen, and the wildcard is, of course, the most powerful tool we have to suddenly reset your side, and it could be very useful to have that in this, especially the fixtures are so thick and fast as well. Even if they had a full pre-season, there could still be injuries.
Yeah, okay, just rub it in a little more to me and Brett, you know, make us feel completely rubbish.
Wildcard.
We could do all this planning and we have no idea what's going to come, do we?
I really just feel like just...
We just got to take it in our stride.
Yeah, that's why I feel like it would have been kind of cool to go the Bundesliga route with this if they could have done and just given us 3 transfers every week instead. And I think that would have been like a lot more fun, because then you could have like really assessed it week by week. And
I mean, the problem is then everyone that kept their wildcard will complain.
I don't know, because 3 isn't really a massive amount. It's enough if you
can you carry over 3?
No.
Okay, fair enough.
You have to use them.
No, you suddenly have 6. I literally played one game week of Bundesliga, and then I couldn't be bothered. It wasn't the Premier League, so I couldn't.
Cool. I've got one more and then we'll go back over to the chat. So Kev Maguire, hi Kev. Which City asset apart from KDB and Agüero are the best for the double? He's torn between Edison, Laporte, Sterling, and Mahrez. He's even considered Jesus. So I think we've kind of covered it a bit already, but I'm gonna say, just like off the bat for the guys, probably Edson and Laporte would be the most reliable there, I would have thought, game time wise.
Did you say he's on free hit again, Nim? This one, is it on free hit or just generally?
He didn't say, just asked about the City assets, but like we've heard, Jesus reportedly like on it in lockdown, some kind of super fit apparently. I really don't know if that is true, by the way. I've just heard it so often now. I'm starting to think it
I have no idea
true.
if KDB is out of shape, but I've heard it so often that I'm like,
it just feels like it must be the case because we've been told so often. I would have said Sterling, but he's not been as consistent this season as he has been previous season. He's been rotated much more. I think it was like game week 19 when he scored last, albeit a brace, but obviously the pep roulette has been difficult to judge with him, and so he hasn't really managed to kind of get as many as...
I reckon Pep's really excited. He's got 5 subs.
I know. I reckon he'll
Nine on the
just-
bench.
Do you think he'll just like literally put out his starting like his favourite team? So like we'll see Agüero, Sterling, like KDB. We'll just see the team he would love to play every week, and then he'll just sub in the others like
Half
halfway
time,
through.
right?
Yeah,
Off you get half of it.
yeah, exactly. Like you lot can take the crown when these lot are finished, basically.
I think, to be honest, centre backs and goalkeepers are your most secure players, and that's even with City. Like every side will probably, unless they suddenly have nothing to play for anymore, keep centre backs and goalkeepers pretty much the same, just because it makes for the most solid defensive setup, and they're still going to want to win games even if they are rotating. So if you want the security of starts, I think centre back and goalkeeper are where you're looking, and of course it's a bit of a dilemma because we're so used to going with fullbacks because they have that attacking potential and then get the clean sheet. But now with the minutes potentially being managed and wing backs literally one of the positions where they run the most on the pitch, you could see them getting rotated a lot as well.
Mark O'Leary said no one seems to talk about Mendy.
I was just smiling at that. Yeah.
Like, I think it's mainly because we never know where you are with injury with Mendy. And the kind of on-off love-hate relationship with Pep. Like, you never know.
It's like a heartbreaking FPL story with Mendy because he's such like a fun option, but we never get to enjoy it because he's like never fit.
I know. Just you never know.
It's like what could have been,
Exactly. Right then, let's have another question from the chat, Brett.
Sure. I'm gonna go straight to John Tyner, who's asked a question because he supported us a lot through
Hey John.
Through lockdown. It's quite specific. So he wants to know, should he keep Foster? So I'm guessing he means Ben Foster in goal. If not, who for? So this isn't something I haven't give goalkeepers much thought so far, to be honest.
Yeah.
But has anyone got a particular goalkeeper they think they're going to go for the duration now? Like John, have you put any thought into goalkeepers at all?
It's not really.
How expensive are we doing for goalkeepers?
Okay. Yeah, 1 second. I think he's around 5 mil, isn't he? 1 minute.
Foster would have gone.
4.9.
He's gone up in price.
He's 4.9. He actually started at 5, didn't he? Yeah. Okay, he's 4.9 now. So assuming that John hasn't really got much to spend, sort of talking like more budget keepers. Yeah, I mean,
I think
Leno's not a bad shout.
Yeah, he's not a bad shout for the double. I'm not sure if I'd want to keep him kind of.
I mean, if you can get to Leno and Henderson, you're kind of hedging your bets, especially if you're bench boosting.
Yeah. Although to be fair, his run after
Leno's run isn't too bad.
It's not running till 35.
I mean, Wolves' form did pick up. They've got some decent fixtures. Maybe Patricio.
Yeah, There's obviously a good goalkeeper.
Obviously, Henderson's a great option, but just keep in mind that he will blank against United in 31.
Yeah.
So he's got the double, but then
he
he's
has
to spend.
Hendo already, apparently.
Oh, so he's got a bit of a rotation thing going.
Yeah.
Well, if he's got money to spare.
Oh no, sorry, that's Nathan. Sorry, apologies.
Well, if he can make up the money, one idea I've had, because I was thinking about potentially getting Luke Shaw in from Man United, and it's for my sins. I can't stand the keeper. I think he's overrated, but I'd go with David De Gea. He's 5.3. He's not too bad in terms of price. The fixtures Man United have got, they don't play Liverpool, they don't play Man City. In my eyes, they don't have a hard game. The only one of the top 6 that you would say is top 6, Tottenham away, and you've got Leicester away. Apart from that, they're all winnable games. And the one thing I go with a lot in these sort of FPL seasons is that if you've got a strong attack, it makes for a strong defence. And if Fernandes is fit, if you get Pogba fit, Martial fit, Rashford fit, they can intimidate teams into sitting back. And all of a sudden, David De Gea, like towards the end, before lockdown, he was getting clean sheet after clean sheet. I think he got 4 out of 4 clean sheets towards the end. So he's not a bad option.
I think that's actually a decent shout, to be fair. I quite like that. I didn't even think that. If you told me to guess what price he was, I didn't realize he was 5.3. So I know, I know it's been a while now, but De Gea was like 6 million like a year or two ago. Like he was like a premium keeper. So even though they haven't been great this year, like De Gea at 5.3 is not bad. They've got great fixtures, like Kurt said, and they did keep 4 out of 5 clean sheets.
That's 4 out of 5, okay.
Yeah, 4 clean sheets from the last 5 games. Maguire, Wan-Bissaka, improving in form. They've got great fixtures. So that's not a bad shout, mate. I quite like that pick.
It's not
The
bad.
big thing, though,
it's
is
it's just knowing how they're going to come back.
that's what I'm saying. Is form a thing now?
Yeah.
Are we going to take form
I know,
when they've been off for that long?
Yeah.
That's
It's just
what
more
always
how
confuses
Man
me.
United were playing as a team. It's more to the point of if we'd have had coronavirus earlier on in the season before Fernandes joined, I'd have said no, steer clear Man United. They're useless. But Fernandes just made the team better in general. It's not anything to do with form, really. It's about Fernandes made Man United better.
Yeah.
So therefore, I think they'll come back better.
But that's Fernandes in a team that didn't have the potential of Pogba.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
only going increasing, though, I think.
Will it? Because there's been rumours, press talking about it, and I know press are press, they're going to make stuff out of anything. Is Pogba necessarily going to make the team continue to play better, or is it going to be an issue when he comes back? Because Pogba wants to be the number one player, and right now, off of performance, Fernandes is the number one player.
Yeah.
Surely,
So-
if you
It'll
think,
be
that have
interesting.
fired
Hopefully,
Pogba up,
yeah.
and it has fired him up
I
in
mean,
the past.
it's very likely to fire him up, but it could also cause an issue, and I just don't know. I don't know how fit the Man United players are either. Like, there's so many questions, but I'm looking at Man United thinking I have to be ready to get these players in because they could have an absolute barnstormer.
And we talk about teams that do have stuff to play for, and United are right in this hunt for top 4 now. 3 points behind Chelsea. So, there is a lot to play for.
And I was right with John. He does have Hendo. I thought he did. So, so
I mean, if he's got Hendo, it's not a huge.
Yeah, I mean, I'd
dilemma.
go proper cheap and then just chuck the money. I think attack is where this half of the season's going to be. Like,
I think there'll be a lot more mistakes, which should help strikers score.
In Bundesliga, like, you get a lot more points for your defense, and you get, like, the way the points work is a lot different. So you have actually seen defenders do quite well in that particular league, but mainly because they get it for dribbling and that sort of stuff. And I think, but like, there hasn't been I don't really remember seeing too many clean sheets. And
there's been some big scorelines as well.
Yeah, and also the fact that a lot of those defenders are scoring as well, I've noticed. So just gives you the kind of idea that I think it's going to be a lot more like a training ground feel to these games. And usually in training, it's goals galore, isn't it? So they play a lot freer, I think, and there's not as much that pressure on the players. So I think it's, I just don't know whether putting a lot of hope in expensive defenders and goalkeepers is going to be a great way to go. I would be looking at the kind of defenders that we know are good at attacking, and that's where I'd place your money, your Trents, your Robertsons, your Pereiras, Digne if he's about, Alonso, yes,
Mendy.
Exactly. Yes, maybe Mendy. Even Maguire for, as Kurt said, for getting his head on those corners, and things. So, yeah, that is probably, I know we usually do that, but apparently we've got a stream buffering. I'm not sure.
It seems fine on mine.
Would that just be for maybe John? Maybe he needs to refresh, maybe.
Okay. Cool. So let's have another question then from the.
Sure. Okay. Well, Meg is asking about West Ham players.
Okay.
It was quite an early question.
I think he said he's about to go to bed as well. So.
Yeah, I think he's gone, but I'm not sure why he's asking that.
Yeah.
There's one from Penguin talking about Harvey Barnes. Wants to know, is he, now that we've got unlimited transfers, are people still sticking with Harvey Barnes? Jay, you had him for that massive 20-pointer, didn't you?
Yes. I mean, I'll be honest.
Plans?
He is always a player in my plans because there's something about him when I watch him play that I always think a big haul is like somewhere around the corner, and it's hurt me sometimes, and sometimes it's paid off big. I mean, Leicester do have, of course, the Champions League spot to try and keep and to play for. So I do like the fact that they have that, and it could go down all the way to the end of the season. I also think overall their fixtures, while there is a few tough ones in there, and it does right at the end tail off and get quite difficult with Spurs and Man United, I do think there are good fixtures in there for that Leicester side, and as they have something to play for, I do think there will be good performances from some of their players. The thing is, if you have Vardy in with those fixtures, are those fixtures good enough to have Barnes in? Also, for instance, you've got Justin now, who potentially is taking the right back spot because Pereira's out for the rest of the season.
He's got a yellow on him, Barnes, right?
I don't know. I haven't looked at him on the actual game.
Oh, I'm looking at Ashley Barnes rather than
Oh, okay. So I definitely am interested in Harvey Barnes, but the problem is I don't think I can go with 3 Leicester players. And I really want Justin because of his price. Purely because of his price, and I think right back.
That's interesting. That I'd never even thought of this, Chester. I didn't even realise Pereira was out for the season.
Yeah, he's out for the season.
That's mad. Was that since lockdown? Then did that happen?
I think it was before
he
lockdown.
Played the last game before lockdown. He played 90 minutes, so it must have been after.
Yeah,
right.
I think I remember seeing the news story. Let me have a quick look on Ben Dinnery's website.
Yeah, so Justin could be an interesting show.
If you don't know Premier Injuries by Ben Dinnery, pretty much you can go that to our website and check out any player's injury. Give me one sec.
And if you want to
knee injury, no return date. Working very hard in his rehab. He's doing very well, but I wouldn't have thought he'd return this season at this point. And that was on June the 2nd.
Yeah, I think I didn't even know. I just completely forgot about that. So sorry about mentioning him as an option. But if you guys want to go and sort out your teams and kind of have a tinker with what you might do and staff and look at the fixtures, then the Fantasy Football Scout, they're our sponsors, are really good at being able to go and be able to do that there. So do go check.
They also have an article on Leicester City, I think, recently.
Oh, okay,
so I'm sure all the updates you need on Leicester City are in that article as well.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Yeah. Let's have one more then before we go over to Jeffers' corner.
Okay, well, the last one I've got written is Miggs West Ham. So are we going to have to talk about West Ham?
I mean, do we want to finish quite quickly?
Let me have a look what else we have.
I can quickly go on to West Ham if you want.
I would be interested to hear what you'd say.
Let's have a look.
They don't have many bad teams. They've got Chelsea at home, Man United and Tottenham away, but depending on how the teams come back, Chelsea is a game that the attackers could score in. Chelsea aren't the best at the back. Tottenham have had a train wreck of a season. Man United, it all depends on how they come back. Apart from that, the home games they've got, Burnley at home, that's winnable. Watford at home, that's winnable. And clean sheets ball, I reckon, because there's already a bit of a problem, I think, at Watford. Aston Villa at home, I think that's winnable. Wolves at home, I think that's winnable for them. And then away from home, they've got Newcastle and they've also got Norwich. I don't think West Ham, you've got to take it with a pinch of salt. They haven't had the best of the season. But I said this to a couple of my mates who are West Ham fans. I said, I don't think you're going to have that bad at the end of the season. I think you're going to stay up quite comfortably. They both laughed at me. So I'm assuming I'm in the minority. But I genuinely think, I've looked at a few West Ham players. I haven't got any in yet. I've looked at a few of the West Ham players. And it's tempting. It's tempting, especially for attackers.
So who stands out? Because I don't think of any West Ham player and think, yes, let's go with him.
Oh, don't. I think West Ham have just hurt me so much with Snodgrass and Anderson and that whole double up. I mean, great for 2 game weeks and an absolute horror after that.
Yeah, I mean, the only player that if I knew was going to get minutes all the time, there's probably 2 actually. If Antonio played week in, week out, he would probably be on the radar because he can be dangerous on his day. But just before the lockdown started, Jared Bowen was starting to, he only scored once, but he only started the last 2 games. So, and, he was quite a big signing for them, a lot of expectation on him. So he was actually emerging as an interesting, uber differential just before we kind of had the postponement of the league. So
and Four Nails was pretty good as well. I did consider him a couple of times.
Yeah, I'm not so sure on
It
Fornals.
was just his stats because he had a goal and 2 assists, and then he played Arsenal. But it was just
for an
the
attacking
start.
threat that could potentially play maybe a few, well, if we're talking about Agüero halving the games, and I've been pretty, upfront with that. Snodgrass has had just about 100 more minutes than Agüero this season. He's 5.2 million. And if Snodgrass does get himself in form, you get the set plays in, he could be all right. And the thing is, he's not too much more. If you're thinking about, stick a £4.5 million player in there, you can afford to go up to 5.2. He's a fifth player to have in, and he's not too bad. I mean, genuinely speaking, it will probably come back to bite me in the backside, but he's not too bad. And then I think you've got to look at Haller as well, albeit I've had Haller, I've been trolled by Haller. There's games there that West Ham would, do well in. But if you are looking at getting West Ham, one thing that I'm desperately trying to avoid is that their first 3 games, probably 3 of the harder games. I think Wolves, Tottenham, and Chelsea. Once 33 hits, then I would look to get them in because I think that although they could still get points in those games, it could be a bit of a waste. So 33 plus, West Ham are definitely an option. They'll be fighting for their lives as well. If you think, okay, go by form from before it started, they're going to lose to Wolves or maybe even grab a draw, lose to Tottenham, lose to Chelsea. They're going to be fighting for their lives. They're going to be scrapping for every single first and second ball. They're going to want to take every single point they can. So the Newcastle away, the Burnley at home, the Norwich away, the Watford at home, they're 6-pointers. They're huge games. So it is an option. I mean, it's an out there option, but
you're going to have a West Ham player now, Kurt. Otherwise,
once 33 hits, I will. Once 33 hits, I'll say it on stream. Once 33 hits, I will.
Awesome. I'm going to remember.
And then
that.
when I get them in and they get me to number 1 in the world post lockdown, I'll go on stream.
When you get
buy
them
myself
in,
a crown.
So it's more than one. You said them.
It could. Snodgrass and Haller.
Just buy Snodgrass and then get him to bench him, and then he'll do well.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, you are wearing an umbrella inside, so I'm just going to say this. We're all staffed if we have any players the same as Kurt.
Lucky hat.
But before we
to become very unlucky.
Before we wrap up, no one in the chat or anyone, no one's talking about Spurs. Can we not talk about Harry Kane for a bit? He's back from injury, 8.7% owned. Fixtures are good.
But they have Young-Min Son back
Kane.
as well.
Here he goes. He always has to have that Uber differential.
I would prefer to go towards Son, but I just have more faith in Son. And there's always that issue
Son
of...
is 4% owned.
Yeah, Kane dropping back is always that worry. When you watch a game and he's not in the box, you're like, what are you doing? Whereas I have more faith in Son.
And with 5 subs, is he gonna? I don't know.
I know, but with me ranked at 1 million, I'm looking at Son and Kane. I'm they've got great fixtures. They're both under 10% owned. I'm I just get those in and just see what happens.
Yeah, I mean it's possible.
It's not a bad punt.
There's
if you're going to take a punt,
as well, isn't there?
Worse
he
options.
Did well before.
Kane can get hat tricks, he used to be such a legend.
Used to be so hard. He only got injured.
So he meant FPL legend.
This season, he's not been an FPL legend by any.
No.
He's not
he has been injured for a very large part.
He is injury prone though.
He was rubbish. He blanked at home to Newcastle. He blanked at against Cardiff last season. It's been a while since he's been proper legend status,
Brett holds grudges here. That's what's clear.
But I still I
you let me down.
Players, there's certain players that you captain and you still feel I'm excited about this. And Kane is still one player you captain. It's I've got Harry.
I
Kane.
feel a bit like that with Jamie
always
Vardy.
Exciting. Yeah. So I don't know. I think Mourinho's a bit not done so well.
Join us next stream where Brett considers bringing in Callum Wilson.
Wilson, Kane. I get Wilson, Kane, and
Pookie.
And I'll go Wilson and Ayew.
If it worked, it would be genius. You could literally come on stream and went, I went with all 3 of the ones that have trolled me before, and they've all returned.
Firmino, Callum Wilson, Kane. That would be the triple trolls.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, then. Well, let's go over to Jaffa's corner then. And if you were with us during lockdown, we did have. Let's go up to his tricks again.
know what you're talking about.
We've-
Okay.
I heard nothing.
We have Jeffers on as our quiz master, and we had a couple of quiz nights that were a lot of fun. And yeah, so
Big
we wanna
guests as
say-
well.
Yes, we had some big guests during that as well. Jules Breach. We had Fox in the Box. Yeah, we've had some cool people on, so definitely go check that out. And you can still play along now because they're still relevant, and you don't find out the answers till the end.
Also,
so.
Jason's in the chat, and he was playing Warzone with us
Oh,
and
yes,
Rocket League.
Yeah. Hey, Jace.
So that's all on the
yeah,
channel if you want to check it out.
for
Carrying
sure.
us, backpacking.
Yeah, he was.
Our
for
record's
sure.
not been as good since he went.
No, we did really well
got a
though.
third. We
Yeah,
did
No,
we did
I was
okay.
thinking Rocket League. Sorry.
Oh, Rocket League. Okay.
That's true.
We did okay
Last one we
time,
did
didn't
okay,
we?
Yeah, I was getting loads of kills on Warzone the last time.
Yeah.
He'd be proud of me.
So
With the
yeah,
pistol.
we've definitely been up to that. But yeah, Jeffers was here and he was our quiz master, and we need to say a massive thank you to him because he's been a great support to the channel and he's done a lot for us. So thank you, Jeffers. So for Jeffers, we are going to stick with our Jeffers corner, and he has a 2-part question for us tonight. And part 1 is, what is the most valuable thing you have achieved during lockdown? And I'll ask both at the same time because then you can just cover both when I come to you. And part 2 is, what have you wasted the most of time doing during lockdown? So do you want me to go first? Because you guys always like a bit of time to think over.
Well, yeah, I didn't know what the question was, but I'm already ready.
Well, it was in the chat, so
I was getting the stream ready for everyone.
But
I have an
I
answer.
mean, a few days
Oi,
ago.
Condrino.
I have answers already. I quite like those questions.
Cool. Well, I think, well, I've definitely done a lot during lockdown. I'm definitely one of these people that likes to keep my mind quite busy. So yeah, it's basically been around us. I'm not going to lie. It's been around the Wildcats, and a lot of the most valuable thing to me has been spending time with these guys. Don't want to go and get all emotional on this, but they've kind of helped me through this, like, really horrible, let's just say it's been pretty rubbish at the moment time, and having them as mates and doing all the stuff we've done together has meant a lot to me, and having, meeting some of the people that we chat to all the time, and having people like Pengers on, and and Jason and Focus and Jeff, and there's too many people to even mention that we've had on in the couple of weeks that FPL has been off, and it's just kept me going. But yeah, just having the gaming channel, that's been like brilliant. Doing the graphics for those, I really enjoy doing those. I built a lovely house on Minecraft halfway through, so it feels like a bit of an achievement considering I'd never played the game before lockdown. And of course, becoming a finalist in the Football Content Awards again is pretty massive for me. In terms of wasting time during lockdown, it's probably been exactly that, playing all of the games we streamed during lockdown, and exercising, so I'm not sure it's made any difference to me at all. I probably should have just sat here and ate cake, but what about you guys? Go on, I'll go to you, Jay. If you've already got an answer, I'll go to you next.
Yeah, so my biggest achievement would be being top of the leaderboard in the quiz.
Yeah.
That Jeffers was so
I should have
nicely
said
run
winning
for
it
us.
in the last week, shouldn't I?
Like, I think did I win it 3 times in a row? It might have been 4 times in a row, Although I did have an absolutely shocking start. And to be honest, I probably wasted the most time playing FIFA, because I haven't packed anyone good from Weekend League. And Weekend League is 30 games in about 3 days, and everyone is defensive as anything, and it is very stressful, and I didn't get a really good player out of it. So that was probably the most time wasted over lockdown.
Oh, cool. What about you, Kurt?
I mean, I've pretty much haven't changed my life. I barely saw anyone before lockdown, so lockdown just means I get a cleaner route to work because no one's on the roads and no one's walking. But
so
I'd say
that's the most valuable thing you've achieved,
Yeah.
not having
No,
anyone
no,
else on the road.
no,
This is what he
I haven't
wants
really achieved
forever.
that. I haven't really achieved. That's what I was given. But achieved, I'd say, is probably getting the YouTube content back up, which has been a massive step for me. Fixing my PC as well, and getting Twitch sorted and set up, and I'm having fun over there. Which ironically is just playing games and playing it with the Wildcats.
You've had
and
a big celebrity supporting you over there, haven't you?
yeah, I've had David Earl supporting me, which has been a fantastic, nice, down to earth chap.
That's cool.
Then on the contrary, what I've wasted the most time on, as you can tell by the boxes I still haven't unpacked in the room, is also gaming. I haven't really done anything. The boxes have been there, and because I've not got anyone to come round, no friends, no family, no one to really
unpack
show off in front of.
No one to show off. I'm thinking, what's the point in me unpacking? I'm just going to move the boxes from basically there to either in the closet or underneath my bed or into the spare room. So yeah, I've wasted my most time on gaming, but I've also achieved a lot by gaming. Right?
What about yourself, Brett?
Yeah, wasting time. I think we all know I wasted a lot of time on Minecraft.
You
obviously.
did.
Really? Never noticed.
Well, I mean,
Become
if you actually
slightly
look
obsessed.
if you look at what you've achieved on it compared to how you started,
That's fair. To be fair.
Yeah, I think it's important to point out, like, before you guys introduced me to it, I'd never played it before.
Yeah,
like,
same.
and I'd never quite understood what the fuss was about. Like, some weird, like, really crappy graphics, like kiddie game or something.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Hugely
I found that
addictive.
so addictive, and I've actually found it's helped me through this time. Like, it's quite relaxing, where other games take a lot of like concentration and like pressure and competitiveness. Minecraft is sort of like, it's a bit like going outside without going outside, if you know what I mean, because you can like just go on like a little adventure or something. It's quite nice, and you can build stuff. And
I'm really hoping when we do go back outside, there's no creepers.
I was going to say, if creepers blow up in your house, it is stressful.
Yeah. Not looking forward to that.
So yeah, that's definitely what I waste the most time on. Yeah, I don't want to say too much for the other one, because I like to be positive for Jeff's questions, and I feel like don't want to get too deep, but I feel like I haven't achieved anything really in the last 3 months. Nothing at all. It's been it's gone really quick.
You've achieved making a part of my friendship with you guys a really
thanks,
good
Nim.
thing. So you've definitely achieved that.
So yeah, all right. So yeah, my achievement then is to help
make Nim happy.
support other people getting through this tough time. But yeah, it's just gone really fast, but in a bad way, because it's just like been like Groundhog Day, and without FPL and obviously doing the content and stuff, without the football and without the deadlines, I've lost my routine. I've got I actually work better under pressure, and when I know there's a deadline coming, I'm like, oh, I better work now. And when I've got all the freedom and all the time on my hands, I'm like, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll go on Minecraft. And like, every day I wake up, I'm like, I'll do that tomorrow. And I couldn't get myself into gear for 3 months, with like running and gym and anything. It's just flown by, and I could have been a lot more productive, but there we are. Football's back now. And
actually, Penguin's asked us a nice question, which we can quickly cover. He's asking how we met. So effectively, Penguin came up with the idea or the concept to do this kind of chat show, a lot more relaxed than anything that was on YouTube. And I approached Jay because he had asked me to do a video on his channel back in the day, and we had a bit of a rapport already, and he was doing quite well on YouTube. And then we had a discussion about it, and we said, who do we think would be good to join us? And we happened to get in touch with Brett and Kurt, and we all just had a bit of a meeting and got along really well and had the same kind of vision, and it kind of went from there, really. So
you can be honest, Nim. It's all right. Once you had you and Jay on board, you got Brett, which is the main priority, and then once your 19th choice member for the 4th slot pulled out, we'll just get
you were in the initial meetings. Don't act like you were the last one picked. I won't mention other names, but you were in all the meetings. So
yes, he was.
But yeah, it's all through FPL and YouTube. We didn't know each other before FPL and YouTube. So
I think we all have the approach of being inclusive and like talking to people and willing to work with people. So it felt like a natural fit.
For sure. Like at the time, the FPL community was in a very strange place, and there were very specific tiers of people, and we just wanted to start creating a bit more of a community vibe again, and just trying to kind of, move things in a kind of, like Jay said, like just inclusive and be more guests and all that sort of stuff. And yes, Pengers, you're coming on the Wildcats soon. He's asking, so you're coming, bud, for sure.
Definitely.
I mean, you've already been on to play Warzone, buddy. It's only a matter of time before you come on the show.
And he came on to attempts to try and hit the ball in Rocket League.
That is true. Yeah.
he did bring that up somewhere in the chat as well.
So yeah, and that's it really. And weirdly, in some kind of strange universe, it's kind of odd that we didn't know each other very well before all of this, and then it turns out that myself and Brett don't live too far away from each other, and Jay and Kurt don't live too far away from each other.
I already knew
such a
Kurt didn't live
small
that far
world.
from me.
So yeah, but that's it. And so now I'll pass on over to Jay to wrap up the show.
Okay, guys, so thank you so much for joining us. It's good to have you all back. The response to this stream has been great, so much appreciated for all of you jumping on. The questions have been great, support has been great, and do make sure to check out all our other YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. We're literally on everything now. Like everything.
Discord.
Got Discord. It's all in the description, so go and check it all out. We're happy to see you every single place that we do content, so make sure to go there.
That is a scary.
I was going to say, Kurt suddenly zoomed in on me while I'm talking. That's quite off-putting.
You and the boy are holding a bloke.
So yeah, much appreciated. If you could hit a like on the video, it does help us massively with YouTube, so that would be much appreciated. And we should be back next week, hopefully before the games, so we will talk more, and I'm sure we'll have done a lot more to our sides then as well.
Definitely, we'll have a bit more of an idea.
Yeah.
Cool, so thank you guys so much, and we'll catch you next time.
Do you know the way?
Good night, guys.